The storm rolled in without warning, thick, cold sheets of rain slamming against the Naval Academy's marble steps. The courtyard, usually buzzing with cadets in crisp uniforms, was empty except for a lone figure struggling with an overturned box of documents that the wind kept hurling across the ground. Admiral Caroline Hayes clenched her jaw as she bent to grab another soaked folder, her decorated white uniform quickly becoming drenched. She was one of the most respected officers in the Navy, a woman who had commanded fleets, negotiated international crises, and survived military politics, yet today, she was losing a battle to the weather. "Just great," she muttered as another gust sent papers flying like frightened birds. A quiet voice came from behind her. "Ma'am, let me help you." Caroline turned, blinking rain from her eyelashes. A man stood there, tall but slightly hunched, wearing the simple navy blue overalls of the Academy's custodial staff. His face held a calm expression, though his brown hair was dripping. His hands were already reaching for the scattered papers. "You don't have to," Caroline started. "I know," he said gently, "but it looks like you could use a hand." He spoke with a steady warmth that caught her off guard. For someone soaking wet in the pouring rain, he didn't seem bothered at all. Together, they chased down the flying documents. The rain worsened, turning the courtyard into a shimmering mess, but the janitor stayed focused and fast, catching pages before they could drift into puddles. When they finally gathered the last sheet, the man handed her the stack with surprising care, shielding it with his own body from the rain. "Thank you," Caroline said, breathing hard. "What's your name?" "Lucas," he replied, wiping his forehead with his sleeve. "Lucas Ward. I'm the night shift janitor." "Well, usually. Tonight, I came in early." He smiled, but there was something tired behind it, something she couldn't ignore. "You didn't have to do this," she said again. He shrugged. "Sometimes life doesn't ask what we want to do. It just tells us what needs to be done." Caroline found herself smiling despite the mess around them. "I'm impressed. Most people would stay inside during a storm like this." He chuckled lightly. "Most people don't have a 7-year-old daughter waiting at home for dinner. I try to finish my work early when I can." A single dad. Caroline felt a small tug in her chest. She admired people who took responsibility quietly, without needing applause. Lucas seemed like one of those rare souls. "Well, Lucas," she said, "you've saved me hours of work. If there's anything I can ever do to repay you." He shook his head before she could finish. "No need, ma'am, really." She watched him turn back toward the maintenance hallway. His uniform was clinging to him from the rain, yet he walked with calm dignity. Something about him lingered in her thoughts long after he left. Later that night, after drying everything and finishing her report, Caroline found herself thinking of Lucas again. His gentleness, his humility, the way he didn't hesitate even though he didn't know her. Admirals rarely received help without strings attached. But Lucas hadn't wanted anything. She wondered what his life was like. Wondered about the daughter he mentioned. Wondered why a man who moved with such quiet confidence worked as a janitor at a naval academy. 3 days passed. Caroline returned to her duties, yet the memory of the rain and the quiet janitor stuck in her mind. On the 4th evening, after a grueling meeting, she headed to her office. The hallway was dim, and the soft hum of cleaning equipment came from around the corner. Caroline paused when she saw Lucas mopping the floor, earbuds in, softly humming to a tune. He hadn't seen her yet. She watched him for a moment, his movements smooth, unhurried, almost graceful. The kind of grace one didn't learn from janitorial work. When he noticed her, he immediately pulled out his earbuds. "Admiral Hayes." Evening, she replied. "I didn't know you worked every night." "Most nights," he said. "It's steady, and it lets me pick up my daughter from school." "You seem like a good father," she said. He looked surprised, then touched the back of his neck shyly. "I try." She leaned against the wall. "Lucas, have you ever served?" The question slipped out before she could stop herself. Lucas froze for just a second. "Why do you ask?" "The way you moved in the rain the other day. The way you scanned the area while picking up papers. The way you're so aware. It reminded me of my officers." Lucas looked down at the mop handle. "I served once," he said quietly. "A long time ago." Caroline waited. "I was part of a naval response unit," he said. "Then my wife died. My daughter Emma was only 2. I couldn't deploy anymore. Couldn't leave her, so I resigned. Took whatever work allowed me to be home. Caroline's heart softened. Lucas, I'm sorry. He shook his head. I did what I had to do. Emma needed someone every day. The Navy is a family, but she is my whole world. Caroline inhaled deeply. The storm, the papers, his humility, him choosing his little girl over uniform and rank. Everything made sense now. Before she could say anything else, a younger janitor called to Lucas from down the hall, needing help with a broken machine. Lucas excused himself with a polite nod and left. But Caroline stood there long after he disappeared. That night, she dreamed of a man standing in the rain, steady, calm, holding her scattered world together with gentle hands. A week passed before their paths crossed again. It was a calm, cool evening when Lucas left his shift early to pick up Emma. Caroline saw him in the parking lot, gently lifting a small girl with messy braids into his arms. Emma giggled, hugging his neck tightly. Lucas kissed her forehead and tucked her into his old sedan. Caroline watched from her car, an unexpected warmth filling her chest. He's a good man, she thought. She hadn't said it out loud, but she knew it. 2 nights later, Caroline returned home exhausted. She lived alone, her career leaving little room for companionship. The house was tidy, silent. She changed into comfortable clothes and made tea. Rain began again, tapping the windows softly. She stood by the window, watching droplets race down the glass. For some reason, her mind once again replayed the storm and the janitor who didn't hesitate to help. Around 8 p.m., just as she settled onto the couch with a book, there came a knock at the door. Unexpected, firm, insistent. She set her book down. Her heartbeat quickened slightly, not with fear, but with curiosity. She approached the door and peered through the peephole. Her breath caught. Lucas stood outside, soaked again from the rain, his daughter wrapped in his arms, sleeping on his shoulder. His face looked frightened, desperate, nothing like the calm man she knew. Caroline immediately opened the door. Lucas, what happened? He exhaled shakily. Admiral, I'm sorry to bother you. I really am, but I didn't know where else to go. Come inside, she said without hesitation. He stepped in, careful not to wake Emma. Caroline rushed to grab towels. Sit, she urged, please. Lucas gently laid Emma on the couch, covering her with a blanket Caroline brought. She curled into the warmth instinctively. When Caroline turned back to him, she saw it, his trembling hands. Lucas, talk to me. What's wrong? He swallowed hard. My building caught fire. Not a huge one, but enough that the fire department evacuated everyone. They said we can't go back tonight. Caroline's breath softened. Oh my God, are you both okay? We're fine. Just smoke, mostly. But Emma was terrified. And he rubbed his temples. I tried calling some people from work but no one picked up. I didn't know where else to take her. And you were the only person I trusted. Something warm and deep unfolded in Caroline's chest. You did the right thing coming here, she said softly. You're safe. Emma is safe. Stay as long as you need. Lucas's shoulders finally relaxed. He lowered his head. Thank you. I don't know how to repay you. You don't need to, she said, echoing his own words from the storm. For a long moment, their eyes held, 2 lonely lives briefly illuminated by the soft glow of compassion. Caroline guided him to the kitchen. She made tea for him and warm milk for Emma when she woke up crying from the thunder. Lucas rocked his daughter gently, whispering to her until she calmed. Caroline watched him, her heart stirring in a way she had not felt in years. When Emma finally fell asleep again, Caroline spoke quietly. Lucas, you're a strong man. But even strong people deserve help sometimes. He looked at her with tired eyes. I'm not used to asking. I know, she said. But I'm here. He took a shaky breath. I never wanted you to see me like this. Like what? Vulnerable. Caroline stepped closer. Lucas, you helped me in the rain without hesitation. You didn't care that I'm an admiral. You just saw someone who needed help. Let me do the same for you. The silence between them softened, deepened. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. It wasn't dramatic. It was simply 2 people recognizing something familiar in each other. Loneliness, resilience, and a desire to feel understood. Lucas finally nodded. Thank you, he whispered. The rain continued outside, but inside the house, everything felt warmer. Hours later, when Emma was asleep in the guest room and Lucas rested on the couch, Caroline stood in her hallway, listening to the quiet. She realized something then. The knock on her door, the one that brought a drenched janitor and his sleeping child into her home, had changed something in her life. Something she had never expected. It had opened a door inside her too. Not just to someone else, but to the possibility of belonging, of connection, of family, something she hadn't dared hope for in years. As she turned off the lights and the rain softened to a peaceful drizzle, she whispered into the quiet. Maybe storms don't always bring damage. Maybe sometimes, they bring the people we're meant to meet. And for the first time in a long time, Admiral Caroline Hayes went to sleep with a gentle smile, knowing that her life, just like that night, had changed forever.